In 2002, Scooby-Doo hit the big screen and captivated audiences everywhere with its terrible CGI, impeccable fart jokes, and oddly sexual situations. In 2004, lightning struck twice with the sequel. We're gonna feud them both today on Movie Feuds. So grab some Scooby snacks, pull up a chair, and let's get jinky with it. Yeah, that's a line from the film. That's what we're in for. As weird and odd as the scripts may be, the cast is surprisingly great considering the two-dimensional characters they're playing. Especially Matthew Lillard as Shaggy, probably the best live-action version of a cartoon character. Although John Goodman as Fred Flintstone was pretty rock solid. Yeah, that's a bedrock pun on the house. Lillard does a damn fine job playing the lovable stoner as he pals around with a really awful CG version of the title dog, who manages to be far more annoying here than he is in the show. Actually, I wasn't annoyed at all with Scooby in the cartoon series the few times I saw it. Here he's just plain irritating and goes through every cliche kids movie thing you can think of. He does the whole big mama's house dress-up shtick, has multiple sequences of farting gags, and of course gets into plenty of hijinks, narrowly escaping death by accidental happenstance. Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze Jr. are fine in my book as Daphne and Fred, and Linda Cardellini is great as Velma when the script lets her play the character properly. Oftentimes it feels like writer James Gunn, yes, the Guardians of the Galaxy James Gunn, feels bad that Cardellini needs to be hidden under bulky outfits, so she's written into scenarios where she gets to show off the goods. I'm not complaining, I'm just pointing out how odd it is. The first movie is set on an island resort, so there's plenty of eye candy left and right, including a young, ripe for the plucking Isla Fisher as Mary Jane. It's a Scooby snack that Shaggy just can't resist. The sequel gives the ladies a bit more to chew on too, with equally scrumptious Seth Green as a love interest for Velma. Yes, there are two love arcs in these pictures, just what every little child is pining for in their Scooby-Doo movies. More love stories. The mystery is always finding out who the villain is, and these films throw the audience for a lot of stupid loops. Ultimately, Mr. Bean and Alicia Silverstone are found to be the baddies of the pictures. It goes deeper than that though. Balls deeper. Silverstone's face is actually the mask of the original ghost Vulture, or whatever his name is, and Mr. Bean is an incredibly convincing robot for Scrappy-Doo to control. And Scrappy-Doo, by the way, is horrifying to look at. I have no idea who in their right mind over there that was animating got the green light to go ahead with that, because it's a monstrosity. Holy hell, that thing's scary. Like, let's head to round 2, Scoob! That's my Shaggy. I'm trying out for the inevitable remake because Hollywood's run out of ideas. They're not actually doing that, but I mean, they've redone everything else, so it's just a matter of time. Moving a long road trip, I sometimes play a game with my family where we'll tell a story together. I'll start, and then after a little while of telling it, the next person will go, and then so on and so forth, until the story goes absolutely nowhere, makes very little sense, and usually ends with a poop joke, thanks to my 5-year-old son. That's kind of how I feel this script process went for the Scooby-Doo films. Gunn probably put some loose ideas to paper, the studio came in and added their 2 cents, and director Raja Gosnell topped it all off with some shit. Now, it's not all bad. In fact, it's pretty generic and mildly entertaining. If I have to pick a story, I go with the first, because at least I can follow the progression a bit more, even though it makes 0 sense. Plot in a nutshell, Scrappy-Doo's pissed the team left him out to die in the desert, so he constructs some elaborate mechanical man he can control from within, Krang style. He then tricks the gang to get back together to solve an island mystery. Oh yes, Mystery Incorporated splits up within the first 10 minutes of this movie. Seems like something you should have saved for the sequel. The premise does certainly contain some funny gags though, mainly revolving around the islanders turning into zombie douchebags. It's pretty meta, poking fun at a lot of the trends going on during that time. The Buka shell necklace wearing, collar popped, frat house joining, American Pie loving guys doing their thing. The sequel goes for more of a tip-of-the-hat approach, showcasing creatures from the TV show Run. Fake news strikes again as Fred is misquoted talking about the town of Coolsville. Then their museum of captured monsters gets broke into, twice I believe, leaving them to question their value on the team. This leads them to split up and try to sort things out alone instead of as a unit. I'd love to show Daphne and Velma my unit, if you catch my drift. Zoinks! I'll show myself out. When these movies aren't throwing generic pop music at us around every turn, there's a surprisingly good score underneath the surface by David Newman. I don't think we ever hear the traditional theme song in either flick. There is no way of knowing for sure, as I blacked out multiple times during both of these movies from trauma to the head trying to figure out what the hell was going on. Oh, I almost forgot. American sweetheart Ruben Studdard also makes his big screen debut at the end of Monsters Unleashed. He is, however, no Sugar Ray. Neither movie is intentionally scary, but the effects are so bad they become quite frightening by mistake. The demon things from the first are nightmare-inducing, and there is one scene in particular that still gives me fever dreams. Now, I will warn you ahead of time, this clip is hell in its purest form. Uncensored, raw, uncut, unchained, untethered. I was not a religious person going into this film, but upon viewing of that clip, I knew that there was something more out there. Something unspeakable and evil. Crisp, run the clip. You have a stupid name.
Like doggy!
Jesus, baby of Nazareth, that's frightening. I can't think of a single thing in the sequel that would come even close to that. Nothing compares to that hellstorm I just witnessed. Nothing except maybe this. Why does that scene exist? Who put that to paper? Who made that a reality? I mean, I don't care who wins. These are extremely mediocre movies with the lowest form of comedy outside of this show that I can think of. Besides some scary imagery, they're harmless. I don't hate either of them, and they are watchable if you have kids. That's as much as I can do in the praise department. And as always, I leave it up to you to decide the winner. Vote, comment below, and remember, this is more than just reviews, this is Movie Feuds. Should have worn an ascot for this review, this episode. It would have really tied it all together. I should just wear an ascot in general, honestly. Thanks for watching the video. Feel free to check me out on social media platforms for credibility purposes. Intern Sheila should be putting up some graphics for you to digest, I believe. Otherwise, you'll be out on the curb like your mom. Gotta move on. You can also check me out on patreon.com/AdamDoesMovies. Throw me a buck or two if you want. I run this channel alone. It's almost a full-time job, honestly. Thanks for your time. Sheila, the graphics, now.